Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I am back with the main man, Charlie, aka Academy AVFC on X and all across the other socials. For your latest episode of Lions Den Latest, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. On the road to 5K, get your comments in as well and your thoughts on what's been happening with the youth team. This is our monthly update, and Charlie, great to see you. Great to have you on the show. It's been a bit of an eventful one for the academy lads across Aston Villa this last month.
Yeah, really busy month. A lot of cup competitions coming into play. We've seen the culmination of the UEFA Youth League phase, the start of the FA Youth Cup, the end of the EFL Trophy group stage, and our first match in the knockout stage is there. And then, as well as that, domestic action, Premier League 2 and Under-18 Premier League have kept bubbling away. So yeah, lots to speak about and lots to talk positively about this month as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the most recent news. And we were going to speak I think it was last Thursday or Friday, but we thought we'd put it off because you never know. Something might happen in the EFL Trophy, or the Virtue Motors Trophy as it's called. And it certainly did against Steve Bruce's Blackpool. Always good to get one over on the old Brucey boy. 18-17 on penalties. What an epic battle.
Yeah, it got to a stage where I kind of lost my nerves a bit. It just became a bit of a joke watching it. But yeah, and I think the main thing to take away from that game was actually a pretty impressive performance. I thought Villa were really good value for their win, first and foremost, and then to demonstrate the character and the calmness to keep on executing those penalties time after time after time. And time again, and it was really reassuring to watch that we're building some not only great players but building some good characters within that squad. Players who are going to stand up under pressure, and yeah, I really enjoyed watching it play out and seeing the boys celebrate with the few fans that were there.
Yeah, it was great, and great experience for them being in that competition and playing against some experienced professionals. You know, Ashley Fletcher, Jordan Rhodes, Elliot Embleton, some big players in that Blackpool side, and they really competed well. I didn't watch the first half, but by all accounts, Villa were organised and restricted Blackpool. I think then Blackpool tried to come out of the blocks fast in the second half and get the game put to bed. They got a goal, but then Villa, to their credit, got back into it, kept their composure, and then what really stood out was the substitutions that Villa made had a massive impact. And you know, one of the substitutions on the right hand side, you'll have to remind me of his name, but he set up the goal for. Yes, he set up the goal for Jimo Aloba, and it was a brilliant finish.
Yeah, really good goal. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, the first half was the better of the two. I thought Villa managed the game really maturely in the first half, and then kicked off the second half with a bit of a disappointing goal to concede, a bit of a maybe a lapse in concentration as Blackpool started quickly, and then probably from about that hour mark onwards, Villa sort of grew back into the game. Jimo Aloba himself was probably the player of the match. He kind of led by example as one of the players who have flirted the most with senior action in that squad. And so that's where you want those big players to stand up. And as you say, a really impressive assist from Luca Lynch. An underrated finish, I think, from Jamal. It's a really well executed and hard to stop finish into the corner. And big moments, call for big players, and that's what Jamal he's grown into a really
Yeah.
big player, really a catalyst for this team.
Yeah, he was excellent. And Travis Patterson again down that left hand side really impresses me. Physicality, maturity, I think he's not far away from, well, certainly a loan move to challenge for first team football, to get his experience. I thought he was excellent. And the penalties as well, like you said there, only Aiden Borland missed his. Everyone else, and then he stepped up for the second time around and put it away. Everyone else just seemed dead cool and calm and put it into the corner. I mean, it's difficult for goalkeepers in that, you can't really say the goalkeepers didn't cover themselves in glory, but the penalties, the players really just were so cool and calm, and there was some in the top corner, some where they stuttered their run up, some where they just blasted it, and it was just, it didn't seem, it felt like it was going to go on all night.
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple that Olivier Ziche is going to look back at and think he probably should have saved. I think in particular the first from Ashley Fletcher was a really poor connection, and he kind of dives over it. But yeah, I think the ultimate thing is, again, even without affecting the shootout from in net, he's affected the shootout with a brilliant penalty, and his penalty is great. And again, just seeing that players are able to sort of display their personality and exude that confidence to execute in those situations is a really positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were the only academy side to get to the last 32, so that stands to reason. They're the only academy side in the last 16, which is fantastic. And they go on to face Bradford, which looks like it's going to be at Valley Parade, and it's another big team, an ex-Premier League team as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. I'm not too sure what to expect, whether the game will be at Villa Park. Villa have been drawn at home, and I was looking at last season's competition. Brighton at this stage played at the Amex, and so there is precedent for Villa to play at Villa Park, or whether it'd be at another stadium. I don't think they'd be allowed to play at Bodymore, just due to the nature of the competition. And yeah, I'm looking at Bradford, bringing back memories of the League Cup under Paul
Yeah,
Lambert.
we don't want to bring those memories back.
And I'm kind of looking at it as it'd be a nice story for us to get some kind of payback for that defeat in the semi-final of the League Cup. So yeah, another big team, another big scalp that the players will be looking to take. Probably be a different squad that takes to the field in that match, with the picture over January looking likely to change with players heading out. And so it'll be an interesting one to see how we line up, who's available, and yeah, what we're able to achieve against them. I think this is the phase of the competition where your football league teams start to take it a bit more seriously. The prospect of playing at Wembley becomes a bit more real, and so I'm expecting Bradford to probably go quite strong. I think from memory they're not having the best league season. I'm not
Yeah,
sure where they
bit
are.
mixed, I think.
Yeah,
Could Villa put in some of the,
yeah,
fringe first team players, or could they
absolutely.
play like Nedeljkovic or Philogene or someone like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They did in the group stages. They played
Mm.
Buendia and
Barkley, didn't he? Didn't Barkley play in one of the
Barkley
games?
played, coming up to fitness, and Bogard played. So yeah, absolutely, that's a possibility. If we're still in the situation where players need minutes, then yeah, that could be a possibility. I suppose it will depend on who's available, like we say, how that loan picture changes across January.
Yeah, interesting. And then obviously last week, as we were recording this on the Wednesday, the 18th of December, last week in Leipzig, I hear you were over there as well. The academy side in the UEFA Youth League managed to get through in an absolutely crazy game, Charlie.
Yeah, drama is kind of following the Villa youth teams about at the moment. What an afternoon, really. And first, I think the first thing to say is I really enjoyed the setup at Leipzig. The academy sort of facilities and training ground are all sort of a 10-minute walk away from the Red Bull Arena, and so it made the game really accessible. There were a handful of Villa fans there, and then yeah, what a game to witness. I was kind of jesting with my brother who I was with about how academy football is crazy and it's the type of match where a team will score late into injury time, and then that happens. and yeah, what a crazy match. About the match specifically, Ben Rojo stood up with that big moment, the late penalty. Jamal Aloba again just adding to his collection of performances recently with 2 big goals. Probably wasn't his best game in general play, but again to pop up with the 2 big moments, to get Villa into a position where they could win the game was absolutely massive from Jamal. And then I was really impressed with George Hemmings. George Hemmings has been one that's been impressing me quite a bit, as we've been able to see more and more with games being televised and watching games live. He played a pivotal part in our winner, really. Leipzig broke 3-on-1 in the last minute of added time, and it was Hemmings who sort of sprinted 30, 40 yards to recover the situation and started the attack for which we won the penalty. And so, couple that with a really impressive midfield performance. I'm really enjoying his sort of energy, his industry, and it kind of a mixture of both the understanding of how to break up the game, but then also technical ability. There's a goal we'll probably talk about in a few minutes' time when we talk about the Youth Cup, which demonstrates that. And yeah, just been really impressed, seeing him go from strength to strength, as we see more of him.
Yeah, really, that's really good, really good. I didn't. I would have watched the game had obviously I was at work and I had quite a few things to do at work, so I would have watched the game. But it was crazy following your ex posts. It just seemed to be like a goal every minute or something was going on. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, great for the lads to get through. And what's the next setup then? How does it work? Is it a straight knockout? What's the situation for the next rounds?
So we'll go into a playoff round now. The draw takes place this Friday, and of the 2 paths, so all of the clubs that are aligned with the Champions League phase, they form one part of the draw. And then the players, the teams who have come through as domestic champions from their countries have been playing their own sort of mini tournament. And the successful teams from that will play a playoff against the teams who finished from between 6th and 22nd, 6th and 16th in the Youth League phase. And the teams from 1 to 6 and 16 to 22 in the league phase play off against each other. So our draw will be an away draw against one of the teams from the domestic champions path. And so, there's places like, I'm trying to think about it now. I've been writing something about it today. We could end up going to Trabzonspor are in the draw. Puskás Academia, so that'd be a trip to Hungary. AZ Alkmaar, who beat Manchester United in one of their playoff rounds. And so, yeah, a good variety of tests are available, and it'll be really interesting once we're paired up with one of those to see how that goes when we play. It'll be, I think, February, the second week of February is when that match will take place.
Excellent. Well, look, great experience once again for the lads, and playing in these cup competitions. EFL Trophy, playing against League One, League Two sides, not ex-professionals, actual professionals. Now the crowds will maybe start to get a bit bigger as well. Then you go into UEFA Youth League, playing against continental sides in Europe, top academy sides. It's just fantastic, and you get all that kind of gravitas, kudos for playing in the UEFA Champions League kind of youth phase, which is brilliant. And then obviously the FA Youth Cup as well, another tournament. Aston Villa entering in the 3rd round, playing against Accrington Stanley, comfortable win. I think it was it 8-1?
6-0.
6-0. And moving on to play Newcastle now in the 4th round. So a big game there, obviously rivals in the academy leagues.
I was pretty impressed again with that Youth Cup. I was kind of approaching this fixture with a bit of trepidation, not really knowing what to expect so much from the Accrington setup. With them being a Category 3 academy, I think that the kind of footballers they develop tend to be a bit more specific to the type of football that their teams play, and so you've got maybe a bit more physical attributes on display than some of the technical stuff that maybe Villa will work on. And yeah, that's kind of how the game went. Is Villa dominated possession, and then got the opening goal through Ben Brodger, lovely Gimo Aloba assist, and yeah, really Accrington let us into the game after that. A poor decision from one of their midfielders, Rio Alston, to kick out at Aidan Borland, and he got sent off, and that's when the game really opened up, and Villa didn't look back. 3-0 up at half time, and then scored another 3 in the second half. But yeah, I think looking at that team that we were able to field in the FA Youth Cup is one, it's continuity from what we're doing in the UEFA Youth League. So the team is familiar with each other, and they've gone through these experiences together. But then two, it's just a really strong team. A lot of the players that we've been talking about that are close to the first team. So Jamal Gimo Aloba will play, Ben Brodger will play, Mason Kocher, who's been scoring goals for fun, Brad Burrows scoring goals for fun, George Hemmings, Aidan Borland, they're all featuring. Leon Ruth is another one who was capped by England age groups in a recent international break. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about what we're potentially able to achieve in the FA Youth Cup this season. That Newcastle game will be a big test. We'll probably be playing at St James's Park. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Obviously, we played Newcastle on the way to FA Youth Cup success in 2021. I think Carney Chukwuemeka scored a hat-trick in that match, and we beat them 6-1. So, wow. So yeah, it'd be good to match that result, and yeah, continue progressing through the FA Youth Cup. A lot of strong teams about in this year's competition. United look strong. West Ham have been actually knocked out by Grimsby, which was a bit of a shock. And yeah, all your typical suspects really. Spurs, big sides who will have eyes on this trophy. So yeah, the strong side that we're able to field will be looking realistically towards the latter stages as a realistic goal.
Excellent. Well, I know Newcastle have beaten us in the Academy League. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in
this
PL2.
season, and it's not been going well. It's been going really well in the cup competition. It hasn't been going so well in the PL2, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what Newcastle's kind of what to expect from them under 18 level. They don't have a massive reputation for academy performances. Like I don't associate Newcastle with FA Youth Cup and under 18, and so it'll be interesting to see. But I think from what I gather, I see a lot of their stuff come up on my timeline, and yeah,
that's right. It's under 18s, isn't it? The Youth Cup. So
under 18s in the Youth Cup.
Yeah, Villa are top of their Southern League in the league.
It's a bit of a weird one.
Newcastle are 9th in the Northern section.
Those standings don't really tell the tale of the sides that will be playing, though. The FA Youth Cup is more of a it's a best versus best competition. So all of the players who play in the higher age groups, your Ben Brodjos, your Jamal Gimo Alobas, the majority of Villa's team is probably actually part of our under-21 squad.
Yeah,
they'll all come down, and it's treated as your best academy side versus your best academy side that are all eligible. So yeah, the matches are really competitive. The players obviously love the attention that this tournament brings, the bit more coverage. The games are usually streamed, which is nice. So yeah, it should be a big occasion. The Newcastle match.
So would you put the form of the under-21s, say in the PL2 league there? I think you said they're sort of second from bottom. Would you put that down to the fact that there's quite a few younger players playing in that age group? What would you say it's down to in terms of that kind of losing of games?
I think there's a few things to consider here. So the most recent game in PL2 was really a deserved 4-0 loss to Wolves, and,
Yeah, I
and Villa
saw
didn't
that.
Villa didn't really turn up on the day. The game was sandwiched between the Leipzig match and the Blackpool match that we've been speaking about, and so I wonder whether there was a little bit of fatigue. Villa looked really lethargic in that Wolves game. There's maybe a bit of a change in personnel as they come in, and then you're mixing the quote unquote fresher players with the more lethargic players, and so there's a bit of a balance to strike there. And then on top of that, it's the experiences that we saw Josep Gombau talk about in an interview with the club. He was talking about how this is an introduction for these players to the 3-game weeks that you get as a professional player, and how you can manage your performance through those 3-game weeks and the rigors of being a professional footballer. Because if you're going to be a professional footballer, that's something that you're going to face in your career, is that fixture congestion as we're getting to Christmas. That's something that the players will need to familiarise themselves with. And so there's a tendency to almost say you can put those PL2 results to one side. Whilst you've had the successes of the UEFA Youth League and the FA Youth Cup and the Virtue Trophy, I think it gives them enough sort of credit in the bank to say, okay, we can accept these results in the name of development, in the name of, like we said, familiarising yourself with those conditions that you've got to approach those fixtures in. It can be a learning experience as much as it is not nice to be losing games.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about development, we've touched on the fact that one or two of these academy players have already been in and around the first team. Appearances here and there in cup competitions, and being in the squad. So how close are some of them? How impressed is Unai Emery and the first team coaching staff with the likes of Ben Broggio, Patterson, even Caden Young, one or two of the others, Jimo Aloba. How impressed is he with them, and how close are they potentially to sort of breaking in that first team squad?
Yeah, I think as close as you can be without making the breakthrough. If I'm being honest, I think Jimo Aloba, you can see just from the attention that he gets from the first team management whenever there's an opportunity to include him in a cup squad. The same with Ben Broggio, included in the Premier League squad against Crystal Palace. So again, those kind of inclusions indicate how they're being thought about within the senior management group. Patterson, we've not seen included in a Premier League squad since his breakthrough, which actually came under Steven Gerrard a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, he was another one that came on in the EFL Cup earlier in the season against Wickham. So again, clearly in their thoughts, clearly one that will be sort of taking part in first team training. So yeah, it'd be nice to see a few inclusions in that FA Cup game. I'm not sure how it will be approached by the management now that there's this 150th anniversary celebration going on. I'm not sure whether that changes the way that it's going to be approached from a footballing aspect, but certainly I'm looking at that game as an opportunity for more players to get more minutes in front of a good crowd at Villa Park.
Yeah, that'd be great. And with the loan market and the transfer market open in January, are you expecting many of these players to test their mettle in the Championship, League One or League Two?
Yeah, I think naturally, and we see this season upon season, there's quite a bit of movement in January. Quite a few moving parts as things get sorted out for the more senior academy players. So I'm expecting your Kerr Smiths, your Sil Swinkles to have loan interest. We've talked about Travis Patterson before, and we've talked about him today. I think he's someone who definitely would benefit from having that exposure to more senior football. We were actually quite blessed with our attacking options. We've got quite a few younger players who perhaps don't necessarily need to think about loan football straight away. So Brad Burrows, still only being 16, still quite slight. I don't think the club will be considering loan action for him. And And so, January is when you start to see things sort of move towards how the summer is going to look and who is going to be moving on from the club. And so, while there's that aspect of it could be exciting to see which players get loan moves and follow how those moves progress, it's also a time to start thinking about the future and the players who are approaching the end of their contracts and are looking for a move to sort of ignite their career as a professional.
Yeah. And talking about players who were probably looking for a move, he hasn't featured at all really this season. Rory Wilson, the saga continues, hearing about 5-figure salary, weekly wage offers, and signing on fees, and rejecting of those offers, and Aston Villa saying, look, we're offering you a huge sum of money that's kind of the highest in our academy history almost, but we can't go too far above and break our ceiling, and it doesn't seem to be working. So it looks like that ship has sailed with Rory Wilson.
Yeah, I'd expect to see some more movement on this front in January when contract discussions can begin legally to take place with other clubs. It feels like we talk about him every episode. There's a bit more information keeps on dripping through almost monthly with him. And so, it's kind of disappointing how it's played out. But I've said before when speaking with you, I kind of respect the decision from both parties. And to be honest, if that's true that Rory's being offered the type of money that's being discussed, then if I'm being completely honest, my respect for the decision to move on grows quite a bit. There's players who would be happy to accept more money and kind of suffer for the fact that they're gaining monetarily. And so, I think it's credit to his ambitions as a footballer that he's actually looking at that situation and saying, I believe I can go on to do bigger things quicker than Villa are able to offer me them, if that's a way of putting it.
I guess it depends on how much is being offered elsewhere and what opportunity he's going to get elsewhere. Because if he goes to Chelsea, the chances are he's not going to get played. So it all depends on where he goes. So we'll obviously watch this space with him. In terms of loan watch, we chatted before. I mean, Louis Barry continues to impress at Stockport, getting another Player of the Month, and talk of championship moves now for him. Obviously, there's still been talk of whether he can come back into the squad at some point, potentially in January. I don't think that will happen. And then Finn Monroe scoring a wonder goal over in Spain. And what's been the latest for some of our players out on loan?
So I mean, it's almost gotten to the stage where you don't even need to mention Louis Barry's name. Everyone knows what's happening with Louis.
He's just an established player now. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's crazy what he's doing this season, and probably indicative of his ceiling as a player, what he's achieving in League One. On other fronts, Shrewsbury's new manager looks to be giving Tommy O'Reilly a bit more game time, which is a good thing. I think again there seems to be an appreciation from their fans that he's a technically gifted player who can do things for them. It's just again that conversation that we've had before of commitment to playing lone players in a difficult situation when you're threatened with relegation. At Real Union, we've seen quite a consistent inclusion for the three loanees there. So James Wright, Yemar Mosquera, and Finn Monroe, who we mentioned there, scored a cracking goal, sort of coming onto the ball from a recycled corner and firing one into the top corner, which won goal of the week in the RFEF division. So really impressive stuff. That's his first senior goal. It was really nice to see. And then on top of that, Rico Richards. I've had a couple of interactions with Port Vale fans who are really impressed by him. They kind of say good things tend to happen when he's on the pitch. He's always creating things, which is a really nice review to get. It's nice to be accepted by club's fans when you're sort of striving to prove yourself as a lone player. And so, yeah, really nice to see Port Vale high up the standings. They just lost a big game with Walsall at the weekend, last weekend. And yeah, but Rico Richards tends to pop up with goals and assists quite regularly, and that's been nice to see. Philip Marshall, I saw something today about potential contract discussions with him over a contract extension. So again, he started the season really well. Crew are in that promotion conversation in the playoff spots at the moment. I think the last time I checked, it was 8 league clean sheets for Philip Marshall, which is a really impressive start considering we're only approaching the halfway point of the season.
Excellent. Well, yeah, these lads seem to be getting minutes, which is all important, and getting that valuable experience. So, just to finish up, what's the plans for the academy over the Christmas period and moving into January? Is it a break? Have they got more games, or is it kind of back into action, sort of second week, mid-January time?
Yeah, everything sort of kicks back into gear in January. Focus really, December I always associate with the start of the cup competitions. So the FA Youth Cup becomes really it kind of catches up with you, and it starts to build up and get underway quite quickly. So Villa will be playing in the FA Youth Cup, I'd imagine, in the second week of January normally. So that will probably end up being our next fixture. There's also a Birmingham Senior Cup fixture to come. We've reached the third round of that competition, and we'll play Sutton Coldfield Town in the next round. We're still waiting for details of that fixture. And then league action, our next fixtures come, I believe, in that second week of January as well. Our next PL2 fixture is against Stoke. I think that's on the 10th of January. That's away. That comes the week before we're likely to play Bradford and in the Virtu Trophy. And then the under-18s will be back in action on Saturday the 18th of January against West Brom.
Fantastic. Well, we will be back to round all of that up in January as well, where it all kicks off. And it's been brilliant to have you over the last few months, mate, rounding up all of the action and giving us a real insight into what's happening in the academy and shining a spotlight on some of these players. I know when we tweet out, we get likes from the likes of Ben Broggio and Jimo Aloba, so they must listen, they must watch. So that's really good that they keep an eye on us shining a spotlight on them. So much appreciated and I've really enjoyed. And the feedback for this show has been really, really good, mate. So thank you very, very much. Where can people find you on all of the socials, Charlie?
So it's at academyavfc on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and then also, if I can just quickly mention the kind of a monthly or 6 weekly newsletter that I've started to produce, which you can find the link for on any of those platforms that I've just mentioned, but it's through Substack. So it's named Claret and Blue Rising, and it's just to give a little bit more depth to the stories that I'm covering in short form on social media. So there's a new newsletter coming in the next week or so. So anyone that's interested, I'm hoping it's a really nice way to keep in touch with everything that's happening at the academy, on top of everything that I'm doing on social media and beyond these chats that we're having every month.
Fantastic, mate. Yeah, I've signed up to that newsletter on Substack as well. So make sure you guys please sign up and support Charlie with his excellent writing and updates, as I say, on the academy. Have a great Christmas, Charlie. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, help us on the road to 5K. Get your comments in, get your questions in as well for Charlie on the comments or on socials. He's always there to answer them. We will be back next month for Lions Den Latest. We'll be back later this week with our preview for Man City and obviously match reactions and all that jazz coming up over the next few shows. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.